All right. Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, November 19th, 2015. And this is Before the First Cup with Jules here on UCY.TV. Happy Thursday, everybody. It is a balmy 62 degrees with light rain here in upstate New York. Actually seems pretty odd now. I've been complaining about the cold coming and going into hibernation mode, but 62 degrees and rain in late November is pretty unusual for us. So not complaining. I saw by Sunday lake effect snow, so that means winter will kick off. But pretty nice. 62 feels like spring. So where did we leave off yesterday? We titled the show DIY Gene Editing Kit. Create your own life form. Yay! We only got 20 views on that show yesterday. But that was a good show. There's pretty crazy stories about some entrepreneur who's gone to the nth degree of crazy in, I think he was in San Francisco, who is giving anyone with $1 the ability to create their own life form. And then he'll even help you market it. So, I don't know. The world is going completely to hell in a handbasket. I was digging into some of the new meetings, the ethics councils that are coming up on this stuff. And there are a lot of scientists out there that are freaking because there is no regulation on this. I've said this before. There's no regulation. None. They're just hoping that people aren't creating things they're not supposed to be. And, they know they're not supposed to be messing around with human embryos, but then you have places like China that go, well, and you have places here, well, there was a little girl who was really sick. And you know how that goes. All of a sudden, now it's in production and it's been approved and it's all stops out. I think today we're going to change gears a little bit. Just because it's hard for me every day to dig into stuff. And I want to do a little more research on some of the stuff we were talking about yesterday. But the CRISPR stuff, I really, really, really want to do a diagram and understand exactly. I think I got a good understanding, basic understanding. But I want to get a real understanding of CRISPR. I have a couple things queued up for me if I get some time today. But what I'd like to talk about today, we're going to get back to our favorites that we love to hate. Robots. Yes. We love robots. Not. I've been mentioning how there's been a lot of stories lately about the robots coming to take our jobs as of disruptive technology. I had said that it wasn't in there, but they did mention that in that disruptive technology overview, of course, robotics. And I don't know about you, but I've been watching all the stuff that's happening over in the Asia Pacific region very closely because we're going to have to compete with some of those countries with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And, one of the things as part of that Trans-Pacific Partnership was that companies would be allowed to move their operations someplace else where there was cheaper labor. And we don't want to encourage that, especially when it's going to Indonesia with slave labor. But when you start getting places like Japan and China, and I know China's not directly involved, but at some point they will be, I'm sure. And they are building entire factories. They are replacing entire factories full of people with robots because it's more efficient and it's cheaper. You start to see the future. I mean, people like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking have all been warning about what happens when robots all come take our jobs. And it seems like it's something way, way, way in the future. But I'm telling you, coming from a kid who grew up around the auto industry and seeing what happened not only with NAFTA, but then also what happened with technology once they started putting robots on the lines. I mean, it caused a dramatic decrease in required employees, and they moved a lot of things to Mexico. I don't know if they have robotics going to Mexico, but I know at least in the stamping plants up around Western New York, they replaced a lot of the lines with just robots. So all you need now is a supervisor. You don't need the 22 guys that ran that line before. And, you know, and this isn't just going to be like pick and pack type stuff. You know, we see the stuff with, of course, the delivery drones. I mean, how's that going to affect FedEx and UPS? Delivery drones for Amazon. I'm sure that a majority of their business comes from Amazon purchases. And then if not Amazon, Walmart. Well, Walmart's talking about their own delivery drones as well. So where does that put FedEx and UPS, who depend upon home deliveries? You know, and then let's go even a step beyond that, because it's not just pick and pack. It's not just ordering, drop, and ship. But what about the intellectual piece? And that was something that we looked at as well, where they were talking about with artificial intelligence and algorithms. Algorithms really are kind of what makes up artificial intelligence, our algorithms in the database. And then to be able to build a very complex algorithm to be able to determine cause and effect to things and draw conclusions. And as software gets more intelligent, and I thought it was like Toyota or Samsung, one of them was just opening an AI division in California. Yeah, it is. It's Toyota. Here, let's look at this. This really caught my attention. Toyota invests $1 billion with a B dollars in artificial intelligence in Silicon Valley of the U.S. to lead in robotics. Now, anybody who's ever been familiar with Toyota's products, their cars especially, know that Toyota knows what they're doing, right? Toyota's been the leader for many, many years. Like I said, having been in a family that was part of the U.S. car manufacturing, I was always forced to buy American cars when I was growing up. Plus, there were discounts, but, they weren't that much of a discount. If I really knew better, I'd be better off getting a secondhand car from somewhere and saving my money. But, hey, it was nice. But my car now is 2004, so what year is it? It's 11 going on 12 years old. It's because I don't go anywhere. So I just broke 60,000 miles on my car. I worked from home for many, 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 many years and had a company car when I was working. So I really never even drove my car. But if I ever get a new car, I don't think, and I know this sounds horrible, but I'm not sure it's going to be an American car. I had a neighbor when I was growing up who used to like to buy those little mini Toyota trucks. The ones that I think ISIS has now. And the one thing that was interesting about those little mini Toyota trucks, and I'd never seen this in an American car, is that instead of 5 digits, like now it's all digital, but back in the day when you had the little roller for the odometer that showed your distance. Back in those days, American cars only had 5 little slots. So once you hit 100,000 miles or 99,999, bloop, it rolled back over to 0. So you didn't know, honestly. American engines probably aren't going to make 200 or 300,000 miles. But you had to assume that either there was a brand new car or you'd flip the car and then flipped over back to 0 again. But what was interesting in the Japanese little trucks, the Toyota little mini trucks, is that they had 6 digits on the odometer. I was like, wow, how neat is that? And not only did they have 6 digits on the odometer, but my neighbor's truck had 235,000 miles on it. On this little 4-banger engine. I'm like, oh my God, I've never in my life heard of an American car. Maybe. It's not like I'm a car junkie, but, I pay attention. My family was in cars, like all of them, all my uncles and everything. They all did different things with cars, but the whole family was in cars. I never heard of a car that flipped over to 235,000 miles. So I don't know. I always thought that now that mess. Most of the family has gone. My dad's retired and whatever. If I ever get a new car, I might actually look at something that is well known to flip 100,000 miles a couple times and last for a really long time. And I don't know, maybe those were just the trucks of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, but maybe 70s and 80s. Anyway, so back to Toyota. So I've always had a good impression. That's the reason why I told that story. A good impression of Toyota and the way they build things. They're smart. Japanese are smart. Japanese are definitely way more advanced than us in their robotics. Remember Asimo? Asimo was a humanoid robot, and I know his name's funny. I like to say that, Asimo. But Asimo, search him, I-S-I-A-S, Asimo, A-S-I-M-O. Asimo was a humanoid robot long before you started seeing any of these other companies, DARPA, getting on board. All right, so let's go back to this. So Toyota, they got money. They're a big company, and they have the technology. Toyota invests $1 billion in artificial intelligence in Silicon Valley of the U.S. to lead in robotics. Toyota is investing $1 billion in a research company it's setting up in Silicon Valley to develop artificial intelligence and robotics, underlining the Japanese automaker's determination to lead in futuristic cars that drive themselves and apply the technology to other areas of daily life. Toyota Motor Corporation President Akio Toyoda. Oh, how cool. His last name is Toyoda. Wonder if that's a prerequisite for being hired president. Toyota for Toyota said Friday that the company, and this was Friday, this story was from November 6th, so from a couple of weeks ago. He said on Friday that the company will start operating January 2016. So this has been in the works for a while. With 200 employees at a Silicon Valley facility near, where? Stanford University. And what? A second facility near the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge. Ding, 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 ding. Lizard's Den. Yes, good old Toyota's been sucked right in. Oh, poor Toyota. They're making them work for the machine. I'm sure that has something. I mean, everything has been having issues in Japan after Fukushima. Their whole economy had this mega collapse, and now they're having trouble selling things, and they had countries refusing cars. I think that was Russia because they were detecting radiation. Of course, no one will buy their food. So as part of this TPP, of course, that's going to take care of all that, I saw there was some big event in New Zealand that was all about welcoming Japan and relaunching their economy now with the inking of this TPP. So it's coming. So let's pull Toyota on board. Yes, they are one of the diamonds of Japan. Get them in our game, set up shop in this country. We'll suck them right in. This investment, which will spread over 5 years, comes on top of another $50 million Toyota announced earlier for artificial intelligence research at Stanford and MIT. See? Suck them in. And I'm telling you, it's because of Asimo. Toyota was way ahead of the curve. And like I said, they are a very technological company. They're Japanese, and Japanese know robotics. Toyota said its interest extended beyond autonomous driving, which is starting to be offered by some automakers and promised by almost all of them. The technology was pointing to a new industry for everyday use, delivering a safer overall style, it said. Toyota has already shown an R2-D2 robot. Oh, yeah, this is the one for the elderly. We looked at this one. An R2-D2-like robot that scoots around and picks up things for people, designed to help the elderly, the sick, and people in wheelchairs. It has also shown human-shaped entertainment robots that can carry on conversations and play musical instruments. And yeah, there was a video on that back probably 3 or 4 months ago. And the world's top auto manufacturer, Toyota already uses sophisticated robotic arms and computers in auto production, including doing paint jobs and screwing in parts. To drive the message home, his vision was more than just about cars. Toyota appeared at a Tokyo hotel with a high-profile robotic expert, Gil Pratt, who will head the new organization called the Toyota Research Institute. Pratt was formerly a program manager for who? Oh, I'm going to give you one guess. Just one guess. Cupid doll for anyone who gets it. 5-letter acronym. Oh, yes, you got it. DARPA. Pratt was formerly a program manager at DARPA and joined Toyota as a technical advisor when it set up its AI research effort at Stanford and MIT. He said the company's goals are to support older people in their homes with robotics. Good old Nana. Nana needs a robot pet. Make cars free of accidents and use AI to allow all people to drive regardless of ability. Yes. You know, and here's another thing. So they have the Uber thing right now. I got to tell you, Uber's kind of creepy. I mean, it's kind of neat because, hey, I could say I'm a taxi. And I don't think, like in New York, I don't even see how they're getting around that. Because in New York, you have to have a livery license or a license plate or whatever to carry passengers. But this Uber thing is where you can list yourself and become an independent contractor, right? And you just got your car. People put in a request and bink, you go pick them up. But I've seen like already 3 or 4 stories over the last month or so of people either getting attacked by creepy people who are doing Uber or the people you pick up robbing the Uber driver. So I don't think Uber's such a good idea. But hey, if we had self-driving cars, all you got to do is go on your smartphone, turn on your location, and hit the big green button for pick me up. And within 30 minutes or less, like the good old Domino's mantra used to be, a self-driving Google car with advertising all over it and, of course, big LCD screens playing commercials the whole way will come pick you up for free and take you to your destination within 100 miles. I see that. I think that it'll absolutely happen. But how, again, disruptive technology. What's this going to do to all of the cab companies that are all over the country that have been running for 30 or 40 years? Remember Taxi? Danny DeVito, New York City Taxi. I mean, I remember with the Uber, I don't know if it was Bloomberg. Bloomberg was still in there. One of them, whoever the mayor at the time was with Bloomberg, with New York, they got very upset and they were already starting to have battles between the cab companies because New York, of course, is probably a multi-million, if not billion-dollar business. If you ever took a cab ride, it's $20 no matter where you go. And that's minimum $20. But there are big, big fights between the cab companies and Uber because Uber is stealing their traffic. And I mean, how is this going to figure? And of course, then does New York have any liability? What if you get into an accident? You know, when you're an Uber driver and whoops, you didn't have car insurance. I mean, I don't know. Just didn't seem like a good idea. But anyway, I'm looking at these disruptive technologies and especially how robotics and artificial intelligence are going to do us in. I mean, they really are. And this is coming way faster than anyone imagines. What about home health care aides once we get these robots to take care of Nana? All right. So anyway, this dude's coming from DARPA. He's taking over now this Toyota research division. They've put $50 million in at first, and now they got another $1 billion. I mean, if you're dropping $1 billion into something, you must have some big-ass guarantees. And I'm sure that they did open arms with Toyota. We love you, Toyota, come be a part now of our machine and you'll make bazillions of dollars in this new precision healthcare electronic world that we're creating. We need innovators like you, Toyota. Anyway, back to Toyota. So Pratt was formerly DARPA's program manager, and now he is the head of this Toyota Research Institute. He says company goals are to support older people in their homes with robotics, of course, make cars free of accidents, and use AI to allow people to drive regardless of ability. Pratt gave 3 examples from his personal life that motivate him to develop robotics and related technologies. When he was a child, seeing a boy on a bicycle killed by a car, telling his 83-year-old father he could no longer drive, and sending his father to a nursing home when he was 84. Pratt, who grew up on Japanese robotic animation and dreamed one day of building such robots, said that he chose Toyota over other jobs because it was, quote, so focused on social good. Yeah, but you worked at DARPA, and now you infected Toyota. But he also said coming up with a car as smart as a human being will take a long time. Well, good for that one. But that also meant that the competition has just begun. No one was ahead significantly, and Toyota still had plenty of time to catch up or become the leader, he said. The new company will be hiring researchers and engineers, according to Toyota. Wooing talent is crucial because not only are automakers such as General Motors, Tesla, and Nissan competing on autonomous driving, but outsiders as well, including Google, Apple, and Uber. And I believe I had seen a while back that Ford also opened a self-driving car facility in Silicon Valley as well. Toyota, which has gone through some troubling times with massive recalls and the 2011 tsunami in northeastern Japan, has the cash these days to invest in the future. See, I told you, they've been hurting big time. On Thursday, it kept its profit forecast for the fiscal year through March 2016 unchanged at 2.25 trillion yen, which is about $18.5 billion, as profits rose on cut costs and the benefits of a weak yen. And the maker of the Prius hybrid and the Camry sedan is on track to sell about 10 million vehicles around the world this year. Toyota, ranked by Forbes in this year's Powerful People list, is the most powerful Japanese. Toyota. I was reading it as the company. Toyota, the CEO, president of Toyota, ranked by Forbes as this year's most powerful people. And he said he looks forward to working with Pratt because they share a vision. The goal is to do away with the tragedy of car accidents. And you know what? There's even a little video here. Let's give it a try. I don't know. I don't want to derail the show, but let's give it a try because it's Thursday. Yesterday was so bad with trying to get audio to work. I hate when things don't work. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. I don't know. We'll see. It's trying. Hey. Oh, gotta love that feedback. I always forget to unplug the speakers. All right. Toyota will spend, I don't know, they may just be regurgitating exactly what I just read, but let's see what the video says. Oh, a 30-second commercial. Yeah, I don't think so. I might even be muted. No, I'm not. So while that's working on that, another story. Japan is becoming a bunch of resistant consumers. And there was a story about Toyota having issues with pushing their self-driving technology in Japan. Here we go. All right, well, let's see if this is going to play or not. Oh, crap. Now I lost it. Well, we might. Oh, yeah, here it is. All right. Stop. Can we back up? I guess I just missed a big part of this, so fuck it. I don't know. Whatever. You can't back up apparently on this video, so I'm just gonna stop. Because I think we need to sit through another 30-second commercial. Do we? Yes, and it's the exact same commercial. All right. While this is going on, here it is. Human roadblock for Japanese firms developing autonomous cars, and this is from 4 days ago.
Spent. Obviously not by you, but
okay.
by Martin Sorrell.
I guess. Here comes the clip.
Toyota announced Friday that it will spend $1 billion over the next 5 years to establish an artificial intelligence research and development company. It will be headquartered in a facility in Silicon Valley near Stanford University. A second center will also be established in Cambridge, Massachusetts, near Massachusetts Institute of Technology. The company, called Toyota Research Institute, or TRI, will employ around 200 researchers and engineers. The Japanese car maker seems keen to do more than make cars smarter and safer. They claim to also aim to use AI to use senior citizens with both indoor and outdoor mobility, according to a press release.
All right, well, that wasn't even worth waiting. But hey, now we got this. Hold on, stop. Now we got this auto video playing. All right, back to the story. Human roadblock for Japanese firms developing autonomous cars. Japanese car manufacturers will have to convince the public that letting go of the wheel, now like I said, this is the resistant consumer issue. They'll have to convince the public that letting go of the wheel in a self-driving car is safe, while also dealing with the biggest threat to cars' security, and that is the humans using them. But remember DARPA Dan showed us in that 60 Minutes interview that it was also very easy for hackers to take control of your automotive systems, and it didn't take too much. A computer and a couple little, hack and cracks, some know-how, and they were in controlling the brakes, the windshield wipers, the steering, the acceleration. Toyota, Nissan, and Honda are intent on putting autonomous cars on the highways and also the city roads for Nissan, and remember Google also for here, by 2020. And the triumphant of Japan's auto industry were keen to stress the advances made so far at the recent Tokyo Motor Show. Their stated goal, which is preventing deaths on the road, of course, is laudable, but the technological arms race is also highly lucrative, says consultancy firm at A.T. Kearney. And they have an estimate. This is another one of those business groups that, wants $10,000 for their yearly future report as to how technologies are going to do and what your sales will look like for planning your future pipeline. A.T. Kearney has estimated that the market for the self-driving car could be worth more than $566 billion by 2035. Nissan's chief executive, Carlos Ghosn, told reporters at the Tokyo show that the company has high hopes that the technology will save lives while altering car journeys forever. Now, guys, you know how sad this makes me? I've told you before, my one last bastion of freedom is to get into my car and do a 2-hour drive. I don't know, most of my commutes are about 2 hours for going someplace to see somebody, maybe an hour. One of my friends lives about an hour from here. Turn up my music, open the windows on the roof, and just go. This is just going to be so disturbing. And it's all for your safety, of course. Not for tracking everywhere you go and making it really easy to control your movements. No. They said it compensates for human error, which of course causes about 90% of all car accidents. And as a result, time spent behind the wheel is safer, more efficient, and more fun, he says. But Gozen's comments belie the work still to be done as engineers edge forward in steps rather than leaps. Google offers promises of a fully autonomous car, but these automakers are taking a more gradual approach, focusing on aspects such as self-parking and crash avoidance technology. Functions such as emergency braking and speed limiting devices that track the distance between vehicles already exists, but getting drivers to abandon the steering wheel completely is a harder sell. Resistant consumers. But to instill confidence, of course, the artificial intelligence that will power Nissan's autonomous cars will mirror the driver's driving style as closely as possible while ironing out any of your bad habits, says the automaker. Obtaining the trust of the driver is crucial, and as without it, we cannot move forward, says Moritaka Yoshida, a Toyota executive. And even if the user of a self-driving car is convinced of its superior safety, other road users need to feel secure sharing the tarmac as well. Manufacturers are experimenting with icons or written messages appearing on windshields, warning sounds, and in one case, a light strip along the length of the car whose color and intensity would alter in different situations. And remember, too, there was a car company that was talking about putting some of that facial recognition technology, which would be a camera and a display, into the dashboard, because not only is it doing facial recognition, hi, Bobby, we're going to put you in the safe mode because we know you are only 16, but it's also able to detect emotion. And they were talking about being able to control the car, take over control, because you'll still be able to drive some of these. I saw actually there was some self-driving Google cars that have no steering wheel at all. But some of the other manufacturers are doing this gradually, where they'll have it where you can kick it into takeover mode or you can drive it yourself, but I'm sure it's monitoring everything you do. But this emotion software that they want to put into the dashboard will be able to take over the car from you when it determines that you're beginning to experience road rage. You can feel your heartbeat through the steering wheel and see your facial expressions and go, oh, Johnny, don't get pissed off. We are going to take control and we will give it back to you in 15 minutes once your heart rate has gone back down and we've gotten away from the guy who's annoying you. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to read any more of this story. It just goes on and on. I mean, we know all this. It's a pretty scary thought. Car companies are already conducting intense exchanges with authorities across the globe, says Toyota's Yoshida, adding that he hoped that Europe, Japan, and the United States would succeed in shaping, quote unquote, global norms for the industry. And while humans may be the architects of their own downfall on the road, self-driving technology cannot yet match our level of safety sensory perception. Human intelligence has no equal for working out what is happening on the road. So I think fundamentally, it won't be easy to leave it to the machine, except in very restricted conditions, such as motorways or specific routes. And yeah, maybe for now, but I'm going to say probably not in the not too distant future. All right, Samsung's in the game as well. So it's not just the tech titans here in the United States, all the big name companies that are jumping in on this revolution of disruptive technologies to completely usurp your autonomy, but also all of the device manufacturers, the car manufacturers, the military industrial complex, the biopharma. I mean, they're all getting in on the game. Samsung, another one who's also working with DARPA for their mobile device unit, and Regina Duggan being a part of the Internet of Things. And don't forget, Samsung also has their entire appliance division. We heard a couple interviews back, I would have to say a year ago, with Google already talking about how they were integrating with the Samsung smart appliances. Samsung also runs Android, and that was one of the exclusives with Google, as well as their Motorola division. And I don't know, someone told me they sold off that Motorola division. I don't know if they have or not, but definitely Samsung was a massive partner with Google, and Google, we know, is 100% in bed with DARPA. We did 2 shows on that last week. Samsung developing robots to replace cheap Chinese labor. And this story I've referred to a couple times over the last few days. I finally found it again. The South Korean government, who, of course, yes, is also in bed with the United States government because they are the border to North Korea. We have lots of military there, so South Korea is our friend. Yes, the South Korea government has handed Samsung a multi-million-dollar investment to develop factory robots that can carry out complex tasks normally reserved for nimble human fingers. The country's Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy said that the $16.75 billion won the investment that would help manufacturers compete with cheap labor in China. According to the Yonhap news agency, Samsung will be tasked with developing high-precision robots that are currently expensive and often imported from abroad, but the ministry expects work to be completed by late 2018. Samsung will build precision speed reducers, motors, controllers, and sensor encoders. The plan, the ministry said, was for South Korean robots to pick up work normally done by low-wage Chinese workers. The robots will eventually be put to work making products such as mobile phones, who would have thunk it, and other consumer electronics that require the level of precision only often possible with human hands. And Samsung, as with many other large smartphone manufacturers, relies heavily on cheap Chinese labor to manufacture its products. But rising wages in China are... rising wages in China, yes, they're squeezing profit margins, making the development of more automated factories a priority. I mean, do you guys see the writing here? Chinese labor for low-wage workers has now no longer become profitable. So we got to make robots. Once affordable robots reach the market and are more widely used, it can lead to the creation of quote-unquote smart factories and bring about far-reaching innovation to the manufacturing sector, the ministry said in a statement. You know, they've had smart factories, and I mean, they're kind of dumb factories, but smart factories that run stats off the machines for a long time. I'm trying to remember the name of the German company. A bunch of my friends used to work there, and they all got really contaminated too. Liver cancer seemed to become abundant among the group of them that all work there. Oh, damn, I don't remember the name of the company, but it's a large German organization that works in automation, and that's really what their main goal was, even back then, back in the 70s and the 80s. Was factory automation software, but this is way beyond that. We're talking pack and pick and doing highly dexterous things with robotic arms and doing entire factories that are going to be run off of software. If Samsung's project is a success, the company will provide the blueprint for mass-produced 6-axis vertical articulated robots. This will mean companies in South Korea and elsewhere will be less reliant on cheap labor to make products, the ministry claimed. And the global industrial robotics business was already worth $10.7 billion in 2014, according to the International Federation of Robotics. I didn't know we had one of those. China was the largest market, shipping over 57,000 industrial robots already, with Japan in second, followed by the United States and Korea. The use of robots currently accounts for around 10% of the manufacturing process, but that figure is expected to rise to 20% by 2025. I had another clip here. This one came out of CNN yesterday. Smarter robots put up to 50% of jobs at risk.
This is the new face of China's workforce. The rows and rows of low-skilled workers working long hours for low pay could soon be a thing of the past. There's a quiet revolution going on China's factory floors, and that revolution is robotics. China is now the biggest user of industrial robots in the world. It took that position last year from Japan. China's workforce is shrinking as the population ages and interest in low-level jobs is waning. It's pushing up labour costs and eroding China's competitiveness after decades of breakneck growth. To maintain their edge, many companies are turning to automation. 3 years ago, before robots arrived, a production line of 40 people would produce about 800 of these, the computer mouse, every hour. Now, with robots, 10 people can produce about the same amount.
So we're talking cutting the workforce by 3/4. Did you hear that? It had taken 40 people to make 800 computer mice, and now it only takes 10. I mean, that is extreme. Again, disruptive technologies. It's, Kurzweil seems to think, and all these transhumanist lunatics seem to think, that the day we no longer have to work and produce because the robots will be doing it all is going to be us sitting around thinking about highly philosophical ideas and eating grapes. And it's just not going to be that way.
General Manager Peebol Dung tells me he brought the first robots to cut down on mistakes and to eliminate problems caused by high staff turnover. It's been so successful that Rapu's robots now make robots for other factories, cutting people out of the equation almost entirely.
As long as the price of robots is decreasing more and more, and as long as the cost of labor continues to rise, then this investment is worth it, and more automation will happen.
The local government here is offering subsidies totaling $150 billion over the next 3 years to entice companies to replace workers with robots. And under...
What the hell is China going to do? They're spending $150 billion to incent companies to do this, and then incent them to replace their workers. What is China going to do when they have, what are they going to put them all into the armed services? Now none of their new middle class is going to have jobs to make the money that is making them too expensive to make cheap products anymore.
Beijing's grand plan for the Chinese economy, those workers will be re-employed in the country's growing service sector.
Oh, kind of like they did here. Suck out manufacturing, go into low-paying service jobs, selling, massage services. I don't even know what service jobs are even left that make money, because there aren't many.
Andrew Stevens, CNN, Shenzhen, China.
Typically, service jobs are low paying, and it's not even going to be like waiting tables anymore, because we saw there's an entire hotel in Japan, and there are a bunch of restaurants in Japan now that are being served by robot servers. They're talking about doing fast food. McDonald's, I saw, they already are working automating drive-thrus. This is happening very quietly, but I'm telling you, it's way further than what they're letting on right now. There's another story. This one was from a week ago, November 13th, 2015, out of RT. Robots coming to steal half your jobs, the Bank of England warns. So this isn't just here. This is happening everywhere. Roughly half of the workforce in the UK and the US are likely to eventually lose their jobs to robots as technological automation trends spread across all industries and service sectors, the Bank of England chief economist has warned. Unveiling the bank's new statistics based on the historical trend in the market economy, Andy Haldane warns that the Trades Union Congress that half of UK workers might find themselves unemployed in the coming decades. Taking the probabilities of automation and multiplying them by the number employed gives a broad brush estimate of the number of jobs potentially automatable, says Haldane, stressing that 15 million people might be affected on the island nation that currently has a workforce of 31.21 million. The same trend, the chief economist warned, will also be witnessed in the U.S., where the current labor force of roughly 160 million Americans will see half of its jobs go to automation. 80 million that get replaced on top of already the insane percentage that are unemployed. Yeah, this is going to work out just well for you and me. For the UK, that would suggest up to 15 million jobs could be at risk of automation, and in the U.S., the corresponding figure would be more like 80 million jobs. And at the same time, the economist noted that previous predictions concerning the impact of modernization on the workforce had been proven wrong since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Yeah, so this is the part that they say, don't panic, people. Don't panic. Just let it happen. Shh. However, citing fears of the growth of artificial intelligence, Haldane said that if the bank's predictions are correct, the labor market patterns of the last 3 centuries would, quote, shift to warp speed, unquote. Machines are already undertaking tasks which were unthinkable, if not unimaginable, a decade ago. The driverless car was science fiction no more than a decade ago, and today it is scientific fact. The future accountants, we've talked about this, face a quote-unquote vocational extinction of 95%, while hairdressers' positions will be cut by a third. He had the robotic Floby, I guess. Economists will lose up to 15% market share to robots, and we looked at that as well as far as like stock market and predictions and investments. They said that the algorithm could do a way better job than humans because they don't react on emotion. Overall, the Bank of England forecasts that around 70% of jobs in sales and customer service jobs will also be cut because of robots, and skilled tradespeople are also at risk. For the UK, roughly a third of jobs by employment fall into each category, with those occupations most at risk including administrative, clerical, and production tasks. And the effects of robotization will have a massive impact on industry and society, the chief economist warned, where people's social skills may play more value in the workforce. In a world in which machines have come to dominate tasks involving core cognitive processing, the importance of and skill premium attached to non-cognitive skills is likely to rise. The high skill, high-paying jobs of the future may involve skills better measured by EQs, which I'm not sure what that is, than IQs, by jobs creating social as much as financial value. So techno babble there. So look out, man. This is coming from every single direction. There's another story. Actually, there were a bunch of them. MIT, even customer service agents. MIT developed and, of course, DARPA validated technology makes customer service smarter with real-time voice analysis and recommendations. So, I mean, like, this is a whole bunch of nightmares all wrapped into one. If you knew the optimal way to talk to a prospective customer, not based on intuition, but on data. That would really help you out now, wouldn't it? If anyone's been on the receiving end of customer service calls, you know what they're talking about. Cognito Corporation, a real-time behavioral analytics company, and we've talked about behavioral analytics. This is a new growing field. Has raised $5.5 million in a Series A funding to help do just that. Based on research from the MIT Media Lab that has been validated through a partnership with DARPA, Cognito analyzes the human voice and visually guides customer service representatives to improve their communication style. How does it work? Well, Cognito Chief Executive Joshua Feast says that the company provides a measurement system that shows how well conversations are going in real time as they are happening. For each conversation, what is the degree of the rapport? Is this a high-quality customer experience? It also provides reps specific alerts so they can make changes on the fly. For example, if the agent is speaking too quickly, it may suggest she slow down. Or if the agent is too tense, it might suggest he relax. Now, oh my God, could you see, like, if you ever saw Office Space, remember that movie where they take the baseball bat and smash the shit out of a computer in the field? I mean, I literally, if I had a computer program that while I'm having a conversation is correcting me, telling me I'm being too tense, relax. Oh my God. Start speaking more slowly. I think I would spaz. Anyway, the analysis is primarily for the customer service rep rather than the customer. And the biggest point is to help the reps improve, they said. But if a customer is getting upset, that can also trigger an alert. Yeah, like what? Dispatching the anger police? Feast says that the level of confidence in recommendations is upwards of 85%. Krishna Gupta, chief executive and founder of Romulus Capital, said that the reps are currently measured on hard metrics like average call time, but that soft metrics like empathy, oh my God, are very difficult to measure. And remember, we have robots now that can sense emotions. There was one Japanese one. I don't remember what the name of that one was, but then we also had Jibo, and Jibo is coming. Jibo is supposed to be on the shelves here really soon. Jibo can sense your emotions. And then, like I said, we also have software that uses cameras that can detect your mental state by your facial expressions. And I just saw, if we have a few more minutes here at the end, we're going to look at this one that can now detect micro expressions in your face. So even people who are really good at keeping a poker face are going to give up what they're thinking as well. They're good at judging average call time, but soft metrics like empathy are very difficult to measure. That is a challenge for customers, support reps, and support organizations. And yeah, and if it can detect whether or not you have empathy, the lack of empathy, remember, we had already this director of the Institute of National Mental Health, the national director of the National Institute of Mental Health, going over to Google Life Sciences, and he had said that one of his first projects that he wanted to work on was making software that can detect mental illness through a soft phone app in your voice. They'll be able to detect levels of psychopathy in your amount of empathy, I am going to predict. It says, asked whether some customers might find it creepy that their voice was being analyzed and used to guide the conversation. Thus says that you have to be mindful of being provided a better experience. Customer insight is an important element of Cognito's value, and many companies try to uncover customer experience with post-call surveys, which only a fraction of people respond to. So having access to real-time customer sentiment from a call offers much broader insight than companies have had before. So put a pretty little bow on it and make people feel good. Beware poker face, automatic system spots micro expressions. Yes, humans have a tough enough time trying to figure one another out. We use two languages to communicate, one through words and one through facial expressions. And sometimes, of course, they don't match. Yes, when you're thinking about things that you're not saying. What is tough is to know what the other person is really feeling. So now we've made advances in machine learning and AI. And they are coming up with programs that can look at a face and tell what a person is feeling. There was recent news about Microsoft's solution for rating someone's face based on 8 different emotion metrics. It's all about the algorithm. And in quick tests from Hot Hardware, they said that they found the detection to be very accurate. A useful note here taken from MIT Technology Review is that rapid developments in artificial intelligence in recent years have come about partly because of improved methods of computing. But now a big step up in the emotion detection software deals with yet another language. The facial expressions that are really micro expressions, real feelings that appear and disappear in the blink of an eye on your face. It is reported that scientists at the University of Oulu in Finland have built both and tested the first machine vision system capable of spotting and recognizing micro expressions, and they say that it is already better than humans are at the task. All right, guys, I think we're going to leave it at that for today. Make sure you stick around because guess what? It is Thursday. We have Mr. Kevin Blanche up next. We have Ron live at 7 p.m. Eastern for Game On. We have Hal Anthony with Behind the Woodshed at 8 p.m. Eastern. Double Crossed with Chuck at 10 and Anti Media with SM Gibson at 11. All right, guys, everyone have an awesome Thursday.